All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another edition of the London is Blue podcast. We are back for a match review, 5-1 against Shamrock Rovers. We were good, not lucky, and I think that's kind of where we're going to start this one. Before we get into the match review, we are joined by our good friend, couch critic, Mr. Dennis P. What's going on, my guy?
Everything's good, man. Chelsea keep winning. What is it, 8 in a row right now from all comps? So lots of good things to feel about, about this club right now, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it's nice to be in a nice groove in December. We never are. We usually shit the bed this time of year. So it's kind of an odd, unsettling feeling. Like,
12 more
wait a minute.
days.
Well, yeah,
12 more
just
days. We're
yeah,
still not quite there. 12 more days, but yeah,
yeah.
progressing nicely.
Yeah, for sure. But look, to start this one off, if you have not seen the news, you're hearing it for the first time. We are going back to London, officially announced March 28th through April 3rd. We're going to see, hopefully, knock on wood, an FA Cup quarterfinal, Chelsea women versus West Ham at Kings Meadow, and then the big one, Chelsea Tottenham at the Bridge, which should be all sorts of fun, especially if they are as downtrodden then as they are now. Packages range from roughly 2 grand to 2,500. We kept the price about the same as it was in 2023. No inflation, but it's London. Things are expensive. Guaranteed tickets. So if you're interested in coming, please, please, please reach out. Let us know. XL Tours is very flexible with the way that you can engage with them. They do all sorts of things like payment plans and stuff like that if you need. So if you're looking to go to London, you don't have anyone to go with, and you're like, hey, I want to go see these idiots with a podcast and have some fun along the way, go to a few pubs. This is a wonderful opportunity to do so. And hit us up in the DMs if you need anything on that one. But Dennis, we have to dive in to the 3 word match reviews on this one. A couple of fun ones in here. There was a huge amount of fun in the Discord that your boy Poom scored in this game. There were some,
Poom poom. What?
yeah,
What?
yeah,
Poom?
yeah, yeah. No, a ton of fun at his expense. But McGleasy with Guiu Poons Rovers, that's fun. Techie Tiger with Gucci hat trick. Matt Fitz with Guiu definitely concussed. My guy ran into the bar, or not the bar, the post very hard on his first goal and just right back up like nothing happened. Uh, Gabriel in North Carolina with a very North Carolina tribute here with Cookouts Shamrock Shaken. That's pretty good. I dig that one a lot. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Thurman with Neymark Cucurella scores. Neymark? Oh my God, Mr. Thurman.
Neymark. Really?
Wow. That
Mm,
that is something.
mm.
That is something special. Dennis, what is your 3 word match review for this festive occasion?
Gio's gifted goals, man. Like I mean, I he did well. Like on more than a few of the occasions, like the first two, he did well to get there, get him the spot, and finish. But like just gifted by the Shamrock Rovers on a couple occasions. So I'm gonna go Gio gifted goals.
Note to teams who are playing against us who are deciding to play out of the back. We do this every day. You're not going to do it better than we are. Stop doing this. Play the ball long if you want to survive. I don't understand why teams do this. I understand having a system and all that jazz, but it just seems counterproductive. Let me put it that way. I went with crossing the bridge. We're going to talk about Ty and Josh getting their
Nice.
first team spots within the locker room. There's a little pathway over from the academy to the first team at Cobham, and we're going to give them some praise here as well. But of course, if you like the podcast, please share it with your friends. It makes a huge amount of difference in a world that's filled with a whole bunch of nonsense. Share a little Chelsea content to brighten someone's day. 5-star reviews, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube and watch our Chelsea women's content over there. We're doing some good stuff. Of course, Discord is there if you'd like a paid subscription to hang out with our group. And then Sam just published, as we are recording on Thursday night, December 19th, the latest London is Blue Dispatch newsletter. Please get into that. He is doing some amazing stuff. We're like 3,500 people get the newsletter now, which is amazing. So yeah, be a part of that. Free subscription, do what you need.
Hmm.
Dennis, we played Shamrock Rovers. This was
Yep.
a blowout Thursday, December 19th, 2024, Europa
Yep.
Conference League, confidently known as the UECL. Jake, cue the stinger. Bam. There we go. Location, Stamford Bridge. Scoreline, 5-1. A hat trick from Marc Guiu in the 22nd, 34th, and 45th minute. Kieran Dewsbury Hall even gets in on the scoring in the 40th minute. Marc Cucurella, or Neymark, as our boy Mr. Thurman would say, gets involved in the 58th minute. And this is a squad, Dennis, that is averaged age 22.8.
Yeah.
A little older than the squad we played against Astana, to be candid, but when Marc Cucurella is bringing up the age, that's kind of what happens there. A really interesting lineup because Cucurella gets the red card at the weekend, and it's become kind of a pattern here that we see that if you fuck up in the main competition, you're one of the first team players. Your ass is playing on Thursday nights. Like that is
Yeah.
that's what's
I
happening
mean,
here.
Cucurella's defense, he picked the right game to fuck up because poor Neto had to go all the way to Kazakhstan in like minus 20-degree weather, man.
Yeah.
Like, if I had my choice between being at home at the bridge or away at Kazakhstan, that would have been the game. But yeah, of course, we have to think about the weekend. Like this particular fixture against, Shamrock, dead rubber. Let's just be real. We're already qualified. We have a big game at Everton on the weekend, and we have to make sure that we have, everyone fit and ready to go for that. So it makes perfect sense that Cucurella, who is not going to be able to play against Everton at the weekend, plays in this one. And man, did he ever play? He showed up, like wore the captain's armband for a little bit, scored a banger with his right. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
I'm,
Cucurella?
I'm telling you, man. Everyone laughed at me early in the season. Was like, he is definitely in our player of the season running. Like he's
Mm,
100% there right now. He's very good, but it's an odd one, right? Jorgensen, of course, plays Thursday nights. We know that. Renato Vega as a center back in this one because Cucurella is in at left back.
mm.
Axel Disasi in at center back on the other side, and then Josh Acheampong gets in the game. Of course, just signed his new contract. We'll talk about him later at length. Kieran Dewsbury Hall and Cesare Cassidy make up an unlikely midfield pairing with Noni Madueke, Christopher Nkunku, Ty George, and Marc Guiu, getting a 9.7 SOFA score in this one. Pretty extraordinary stuff from our guy. But look, this is a moment because Chelsea were up 4-1 at halftime. Harvey Vale comes in for Madueke. I think was just getting some fitness in the 46th minute. Harrison Murray Campbell makes his debut in the 59th minute for Axel Disasi. When you're up 5-1, you can do whatever the hell you want. Joao Felix comes in the 60th minute for Guiu. And then Sam Raksaki comes in for Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who picked up a bit of a knock. Unused subs, Sanchez, Bergstrom, Adebayo, Jaden Sancho, Keanu Dyer, Shem Mweka, and Pedro Neto. Uh, Dennis, it's just a wash, right? There's not
Yeah.
much in this. It's hard to, we were kind of talking before we got on. It's hard to take a lot out of these games. The two teams were severely mismatched. It didn't really feel like we had to get out of second gear to win this comfortably. It's 73% possession, roughly 2 xg, 5 big chances, 20 total shots. Our goalkeeper only had to make 3 saves. One of them, of course, goes in the fucking net, of course. But 7 corners, dominate passing. We score 3 of the 5 big chances, miss 2 of them. 44 touches in their penalty area. We had the ball and we just dominated the game. And that's really all there is to say about that, right?
Yeah, I think another thing that has kind of come out of this, like you're right, there isn't really much to speak on. Like I think, seeing Nkunku play pure number 10 and just be more of a facilitator. I think that he had like fewer box touches than probably even Cucurella this game. But, seeing him play that facilitator role is actually quite interesting. And aside from that, I think that what I gathered from this game is that, Maresca is an excellent communicator and his structure is sound. And the reasons why I can say that is because when you have so many new players coming into the setup, unfamiliar, haven't played together with each other, they're all coming out and putting in 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 performances. And this is not like these are young players too. So I think that like communication is something that Maresca is very, very strong at, and his structure is such that it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy to pick up, but like his ability to communicate makes it easy for these players to digest the information. And he doesn't really put anyone in positions where he doesn't think they can handle the role. It's very rare. I mean, yeah, there was that one circumstance at the Spurs where we had Badia Shield playing left-sided center back. Wasn't really comfortable there, but
Swapped him. Yeah.
yeah, or sorry, right-sided center back exactly, and he didn't really look comfortable there. And he made the substitution at half to rectify that situation. But other than that, I feel like this guy usually puts guys in positions where they can excel. He mitigates their weaknesses and exalts their strengths, and that's what you want in a manager.
Well, he comes out with a quote saying, "I'm very happy with the performance and the results. Once again, they show how serious and professional they are. Very happy for the academy players. Since we start, we try and share the minutes." I think your point's really good there, Dennis, to be honest. Like, we've seen only once this season, and that was Newcastle for the Cup, the Carabao Cup
Mm,
game, where it didn't really look like the team were fully in it, right? I can accept that when you mess around with the lineup and you put different players in, especially young players, that things aren't always going to look super cohesive. Like there is, I think, just some natural rhythm that gets lost when you have a first 11 that gels and they know where each other are going to be and all that stuff, and then you start swapping in players, and it can really screw with you. There's only been one time, and that was just Newcastle, where I didn't think they tried hard. This was a pretty damn good performance. Passing the ball, movement, players in the right positions. I like the kind of in and out passing that goes up and down the flank. Like for as much chopping and changes as he has done this season, the level hasn't dropped so much, right? Which is critical. And I look at this, as Chelsea teams in the past who have played kind of weakened teams for kind of lesser competitions, and call this whatever you want it to. I don't want to disparage it, but clearly we're the best team in this competition. It's not even close. um we've seen when Chelsea have tried this in the past that it hasn't worked, that just the lineup hasn't clicked, young players haven't clicked, old players haven't clicked. It's working for him right now. And
yeah.
I think you're right on the communication thing. I think he set very clear expectations heading into the season. If you get a chance to play, you better play.
hmm And I guess also goes down to the strength of the squad though too, because everyone is chomping at the bit to get into the side. And I think that healthy competition is what has birthed these good performances week after week. Like like look at Noni Madueke now. He knows that he's got like Neto just nipping at his heels to get in the
Mhm.
side. Even after scoring a hat trick, even after putting in good performances week after week. Defensively, offensively, he knows that he has to be at his top level to stay in the side.
Yeah.
And the thing that I commend Maresca for, aside from the other things that I mentioned, like the communication and like the rock solid structure, he's been really good at keeping the dressing room quiet. You're not hearing a lot about people complaining about like playing time minutes and
No.
whatnot. And he's done a good job of making sure that everyone is still feeling part of the team. That's a very difficult thing to do, especially as a new manager coming in. Lots of new players to learn, lots of new personality types. Like for him to come in at what is it, July or something like that, players coming back from the international tournaments and establish this rapport with the players that they come in, they play, they go out, they don't play, and they're all coming back fighting and hungry is commendable, man. Like he's been unbelievably solid as a manager in his first year in the Premier League.
No doubt about it. And that does lead us to the one random stat, which will kind of take us into the first section of this pod. But last year's Conference League top scorers scored 25 in the entire tournament. Chelsea scored 26 in the group stage this year,
That's
which is
unbelievable.
extraordinary. That is crazy. Shithouse moment of the match, I will give to Marc Cucurella for the just immaculate knee slide that he put in after scoring a weak-footed goal. The match right after he scored a headed goal. And if you would have told me that Cucurella would have scored those two goals in back-to-back games, I would have thought you were crazy. Let's it's just it's bananas, dude. I don't know what to say about it. Let's
Yeah.
take our first ad break and we will come back and look at the entire group stage from the UECL, and then we'll dive into the youth revolution at Chelsea and all the other good stuff. So thanks to the sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right, Dennis, the group stage is over. UECL League Phase champions. You'll never sing that. I think is going to be ringing out around Stamford Bridge for sure. Chelsea finished 6 of 6 in the league phase. Remember the league phase, the top 8 teams automatically advance to what are the quarterfinal or the round of 16. Sorry. So we're automatically in the round of 16 that will be played on March 6th and 13th. So we have a little while without our good friend, the UECL. We finished with a plus 21 goal differential, which is 10 higher than the next Fiorentina, who is finished third. 26 goals for, 5 against, 18 points. We are joined in the next phase of the competition, the round of 16, by Vitória out of Portugal, Fiorentina, Rapid Vienna, Djurgården, Lugano, Legia, and Cercle Bruges. Welcome to our
You're
Belgian
better than me,
friends.
man. I see those names and I'm like, who? What?
I,
Where?
you know,
When?
I'm trying. I will not name the others that made the knockout phase, which happens in February. But some familiar faces in there would be Panathinaikos, who made the
Hmm.
knockout phase. Heidenheim made the knockout phase. And I think,
Shamrock? No?
yes, Shamrock did make the knockout phase. Yes, they did. Yeah. So, yeah, they finished 10th. So we played the 10th best team in the league phase, 5-1 them.
Well, before the game today, they were eighth. So they were fixing to be in the knockouts. And then the pummeling they took by Chelsea knocked them down to 10th, unfortunately. So, you know, got to do it the hard way now, man. You can't come up to Chelsea playing Stamford Bridge and not at least get a draw. You gotta bring it, man.
We will then bid farewell to a handful of teams
Mm.
as they exit the league
Noah,
phase,
my favorite
including
team. Noah's
Noah.
out. No,
Yep.
no.
Yep, they're gonna go on the big boat down the river, and then Astana. We barely knew ye, and you're going to be out as well. This again, we're not. I don't think we're making fun of this competition. It's clearly a competition that Chelsea should not be in, but because of the way the coefficients work and the way that Chelsea finished the end of last season, we're in this competition. So all you can do is play the games that are in front of you.
Hmm.
Chelsea clearly have the best, deepest squad. And so the stats are pretty straightforward here. We have 4.3 goals a game. We
Wow.
scored 2 of our 2 penalties. We had 24 goals from inside the box, 2 from outside the box. I like what's your take on the league phase here, Dennis? Because I mean the stats, the place, it's all trending one direction.
Yeah, and there's not really much to take away from, our play against the opponents that we faced. It's more just about what's happening within our camp that
Yes.
I'm most impressed with. Because again, we're using this competition to keep other players sharp, right? We're using this competition to blood in some of these younger players. And everything that we've done so far in this tournament has been coming up like aces, like Nkunku's banging in goals. We've seen Yao Felix find his form. I remember, I think Jadon Sancho used this game to get up to match speed. And Medweke, we've seen Tyreek George come in, Josh Acheampong. Like, there's been so many good feel good stories that have come out of this tournament. It's not really about the football. Let's just be real. Like, there's not much. Like, you watch the game today, and like the way we're gifted goals in this tournament, just because of our hard work and endeavor. Like, don't get it twisted. A lot of it comes down to the system that we play with and the intensity that we play with. But at the same time, we're getting gifted goals left, right, and center. And it's another way for Maresca to use these games to basically strengthen his authority on the team, to strengthen their belief in the system, right? So all of that is more of what we're using even to carry into the Premier League, to continue on the continuity. You see a team score 4 or 5 goals, you want to go back on the weekend now with the preferred 11 and do close to the same against Everton now. And it's that healthy competition that I don't think that we would have been afforded even if we were in the Europa League. Like, we wouldn't have been able to rotate the squad as heavily. So we're just using it to keep the match sharpness up for the players that would not have been able to get the games that we would have otherwise.
You could say the bomb squad blew the competition away if you wanted to. That's that. If you're silly like me, you could do that. When you look at the players who stood out in this competition, put Mudryk aside because we're going to talk about him in a bit for obvious reasons. He
Mm,
finished as an average a 7.85 in the
wow.
in the UEFA league phase. The next highest, Joao Felix, 7.72, and Nkunku, 7.64, Renato Vega, 7.63, Jorgensen on 7.62, Guiu, 7.6, Dewsbury Hall, 7.6, Neto, 7.5,
Hold on, hold on.
Adebayo.
Hold on. Karen Dewsbury Hall was a 7.6.
Yep, that's what
Wow.
it says. That's what it
Okay.
says right there on the screen.
Grading on a curve, I guess.
Hey, you know what? That's well, more on him later as well.
Sure.
Uh, Tosin 7.3. Disasi even is above a 7. Uh, Ty George 7.16. Benoit Badiashile 7.1. Cassidy 6.9. Chukwemeka 6.88. Limited minutes. Sam Raksaki at 6.5. Anything surprising in there with the ratings for these guys?
Yeah. A few of them, a few of them in particular.
Just the startled look on your yes, yep,
It's just
100%.
like, yeah, like I would have never thought that Kieran Dewsbury Hall would have been as high as he was. And, we haven't really been tested in this
No,
tournament. So I understand why, the defenders that you may not think are, up the Chelsea level are having higher scores. It's because we're not really being tested,
yeah,
like, so that is to be expected. You look at like our distribution. You look at the control that we have in matches. You're just going to see. Like, I think Josh had about like 120 touches today or something like that. As a young
mhm,
18-year-old center back. And he's very much dominant on the ball, like very composed. A guy that you give him the ball and you don't expect him to misplace the pass. He's you know confidently driving into the final third. And this is part of what this competition has been like, giving these players the confidence to play their football, feel confident that, like, even if they make mistakes, the chances are it's not going to be too costly because we're going to score 6-7 goals anyway. So it's afforded us the opportunity to just be really comfortable in our football and find our game. So yeah, some of the scores are a little bit shocking, but when you really go back and analyze the opponents that we played, like Noah, there's that team. What was the Greece team? Was it Panathinaikos?
Panathinaikos, yeah.
Yeah, they're just. We should be pamming these teams. Let's just be real. We should just be pamming them. So
Josh
it is what it
finishes
is.
on a 7.25 average rating, so
Yeah,
right
no
up there.
surprise there. He's
Yeah,
been fantastic, man. He looks so good on the ball.
Yeah.
And like again, like we haven't really seen. I know everyone's like saying, well, they feel real comfortable if he comes into the side in the Premier League. They would rather see him than Disasi. Like I'm not sure if I agree yet. Still need to see more. And to that, I still think that I don't know about you, but I miss like Chelsea TV because I used to love watching like the youth players on Chelsea TV. I felt like I was getting more accustomed to what they were like as
Yeah.
footballers. And like now I'm kind of like waiting for opportunities like this tournament to see what these guys are like.
It's a
And
huge opportunity for the club to put more of that coverage out there, live stream the
yeah,
games. Like I just, yeah, totally agree with that. Look, won't be back in the UECL for a bit.
let's hope.
We're March 6th and 13th again. We can only draw one of four sides in the last 16 of the UECL, so we will get one of the teams that um, is in the knockout phase because we've advanced, so we're one of the top seeds. Those teams are Ghent, Copenhagen, Real Betis, or Heidenheim for a second time.
Interesting. Those
Uh,
those
and,
at least teams that I know, like
yeah,
Ghent.
like real teams. Yeah.
Yeah, like teams that I know, and like probably a team like Copenhagen, they probably fancy themselves in a tournament like this. So obviously our strength in depth and whatnot should see us through any of these opponents. But those types of teams like the Gens and the Real Betis and whatnot, they might show up for this particular tournament. They want it. This would be one that they want to do well in.
If it feels like Real Betis is going to be the team that we see, and that would be good because
Yeah,
playing a
somebody pulling out the cold ball. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I think that's Dennis. You know what? That never has happened. I won't have you slander an organization that's as upstanding as UEFA, young
Right,
man.
right.
Okay,
I take it back.
take it all back.
I take it all back. Who am I
Well,
to?
yeah. Look, I'm happy for the B squad. I'm happy that they were able to handle the business as they should have handled the business. The most
Mm,
difficult part of this competition so far for us was the play-in game against Servette.
mm,
That's the honest to God's truth, but that was all the way back in August. So, that's a
yeah.
long time ago, and this team has come a hell of a long way. And so, look, we're going to take our last ad break and then get into some more fun stuff. The match review part over. We've learned what we need to learn from it, but we have some youth revolution to talk about here at Chelsea Football Club. So hold on to your butts, and we'll be right back. Dennis, the kids are all right. They
Mhm,
are all right. We have a few things just to tee us off before we discuss some of the young men who are entering the ranks at Chelsea Football Club. CFC Central, noted contributor to this podcast. I know
mhm.
it's the Conference League, but Maresca has now handed European debuts to 9 players aged 19 or under. That's one more than the club gave to U19 players in the decade before that.
Mhm.
Competition obviously helps us do that a little bit more effortlessly. Shay Given, who did the coverage on TNT for um, them, said they're a bunch of kids, but they're a bunch of brilliant kids.
Mhm.
Facts. Adam Newson works for the club. Chelsea will finish this game with 4 players on the pitch who joined the club as under eights. Heartwarming
Nice.
as shit. I love that. And then Ben Jacobs, of course, is confirming Harrison Murray Campbell, Chelsea debut today. This was all heading in the right vibes direction because on Wednesday, Josh Acheampong signed his new deal. And there's been some contention around that. I think both sides of that argument have valid points, and I'm not here to relitigate the past, but that was an uncomfortable thing that happened this fall. Frankly, he is the next guy to really have a chance to make it in the first team, and so getting him signed up with his profile and everything that he can do is just excellent and some of the best news possible. And then on Thursday, as they're getting to the stadium for pregame warmups, they do a little ceremony because Josh and Ty are now first team players officially. They got their own lockers and everything. They got to put their little name tags above their lockers. Uh, Dennis, just talk to me a little bit about the youth revolution here before we talk about Josh specifically. I mean, this
Yeah.
is brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, without question. This is something that we as Chelsea supporters have been fiending for
Yes.
more than decades. Really, it feels like just to see some of these young kids get a chance to cut their teeth at the highest level. Like I mentioned before, the whole Chelsea TV thing. Like I used to watch that thing religiously, like seeing, everyone like Charlie Colkett and like Islam Farouz and a whole host of names. Like I can go back even further than that, or the names that were associated with the club that you wanted to see, advance into the first team. And it just seems like, I mean, obviously the tournament has kind of like afforded us the opportunity to, bleed in some of these younger players, but it's just great to see, and
Mhm.
there's quality there to be had. There's a lot of quality to be had there. It's just, the level is extremely high when we're talking about the level that this Chelsea team is at. Granted, they are young, of course, but the level is extremely high, and they're going to have to keep that level and know that just because you got your nameplate on, in the room now, doesn't mean that the work is done. The work is just starting now, right? It's just
Yep.
starting now for the likes of Tariq and Josh, and they're going to have a great group around them because, like I said before, the thing that's great about this group is everyone is pushing everyone, right? Like nobody's a passenger in this 25-man squad. Everyone is pushing each other. Like you look from the keeper right out to the strikers, everyone, their number two is
Everyone.
pushing them for that number one position. So, long may continue. I'm really happy for those guys. I think that you watch Tariq in like the under 23, so he looks a player. I mean, when you see him with the Chelsea side, I think that he's snatching at opportunities a bit more. Like he's been given more opportunities than some of the other youth players, like more than them. And I feel like he feels like he has something to prove, and he's snatching at opportunities. Sometimes when you think he should pass, he's shooting and it's into a crowd. But these are all the growing pains of a young player. You expect him to learn. He's going to be a guy that probably get a few more opportunities. I know we'll get into the other situation later, but he's probably going to get another few more opportunities to impress. And I just think that he needs to let the game come to him, to slow it down a little bit and just grow. Let the game come to him rather than chase after it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I really wanted that when he cut inside and he was hit that
Mm,
curler to fall, and there's just a defender who made a great block and clearance there. I wanted that for him so bad. That would have been a
yeah,
special moment for him, obviously. But let's switch gears to Josh because I think Josh is the next guy.
yeah.
Like Josh has a very real future. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, a whole host of other clubs. I think Liverpool were after him.
PSG.
Yep. Uh, he's he's legitimately at that level, and I think after the uncomfortable Willie won't he sign situation, the fact the club obviously plays last week, that was a great sign for us that he was going to stick around. But he signs his deal on Wednesday. I woke up to that news, as did you, and I think a sense of relief, frankly, and happiness that we're keeping our best and brightest and showing them that they have a pathway into the team. He says it's been an up and down journey. Football is not always plain sailing. The downs have helped me get to this point, and at the moment, I'm on a high, so it's really good. It means a lot to sign a new contract, especially because I've been here so long. To
Hmm.
continue my journey is a really proud moment for me and my family. The whole time, my family are saying how excited they are for me, and I'm happy I can share it with them. I said about Enzo Maresca. With Enzo, the small details are really important. He's nice, so I can ask him questions one to one, and he gives me lots of advice. He also gives me a lot of confidence. The manager's backing you. It's up to you to show him why and what you can do on the pitch. Yeah, man. There's been this clip that's been doing the rounds recently, and I believe it was Tony Pulis who was talking about the hardest thing to do as a coach was not tell someone that their time was up or that they need to retire. It was telling young kids that they weren't good enough to make it.
Mm,
And what happens to those kids after they're they don't achieve their dream at that young age, right?
hmm.
And how desperately sad that is, especially when there's all this pressure. around these guys to be the next whoever, right? And I think that the really proud moment for me and my family is a really nice touch on that statement, because I can't imagine what it would be like to have a son or a daughter reach the highest pinnacle of their profession. Like, this is the highest pinnacle that you can
Yeah,
reach in world football, is this sort of club. And to do it and be 18, I mean, you have your whole
yeah.
life in front of you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely putting pen to paper is a moment that he'll remember for the rest of his life, his family as well. The hours that not just him but his family have invested into his future. Like that is a rewarding experience. To see that it's come fruition now. The plan has come to fruition. He's now a full blown professional playing at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like it's one thing because I'm sure he could have played down, went somewhere else, and probably gotten the same opportunity to sign a professional contract. But the fact that he's signing this contract for a club as big as Chelsea, you know, clubs bigger, I don't know, like Real Madrid, clubs like that are looking at him. Like it's a testament to the hard work and whatnot. But like also, I would say that at a certain level, it's not about how much potential you have or anything like that. It's about how hard you work, right? Like you
Mhm.
have to work hard. You have to be dedicated to your craft day in, day out. So, signing this contract to me is just a testament to his hard work, and his ability, of course, but the hard work first. So, credit to him. He was fantastic again. I think that going forward, the reason why teams are after this guy is because he is the prototype when it comes to what you want in the center back right now. Like every team wants to play with a back three so they can be more attacking and be on the front foot. They need somebody. You need somebody that's good on the ball. You need somebody that's composed in possession, knows how to
Mhm.
pick passes, is comfortable. Obviously he's going to grow into his body. He's not the most physical specimen yet, which is why I'm kind of like, okay, well maybe the Premier League is not quite ready. He's not quite ready for that yet. Certain opponents he can certainly come in and give us some minutes there, but he needs to grow into his body a little bit more before he can be trusted in the Premier League. But everything else, the IQ, the defensive awareness, the ability to be composed in possession, driving forward, the pace to catch up, all of that is there. Like the tools are there for this guy to be a modern day center back. And I'm glad that we signed him. I think that he was in, when you look at world football right now, there just aren't a lot of center backs like that out there. Like everyone's talking about, well, Chelsea need to, we're talking about like, oh, we're not going to be title contenders because we don't have the center back pairing. And I'm like, well, look around world football right now. There's not a lot of like bossy, top tier center backs out there. So, it's now about looking what the next level is. What are the next ones coming in looking like? And in my opinion, Josh is very much on the trajectory to be one of those center backs. We have one in Colwell now, as far as I'm concerned, but Josh Acheampong is definitely on the trajectory to be one of those guys that can play that modern football and be an effective player at a top club.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they develop him and where he ends
Hmm.
up slotting in. If he is an heir apparent on, as a right back, if he moves into some sort of right center back, if we end up going to a back three at some point, does he kind of fit there? I think that might be the profile,
Hmm.
for him, because one of the things I loved about his play today is just able to take especially when they were pressing us, right, which was admittedly not that often. But when he was under pressure at all, he was able to take the pass very calmly, move the ball into the midfield, and bypass, because he has the physical gifts to bypass into midfield and begin our own attack from a very tight
Hmm.
control situation. Now, obviously, the competition gets a hell of a lot more stiff than
Hmm.
Shamrock Rovers or Astana, but this is a guy, if you look at his heat map, it's just burning red. You
Mm.
talk about hard work up and down that right flank, all the way into midfield, winning the ball back in different areas. We're talking about a guy who won 6 to 7 ground duels today,
Ooh.
2 of 2 aerial duels. Did lose possession 12 times, so that's pretty well expected for these things. 127 touches, 101 accurate passes out of 107 opportunities, 94%. Kid's got game, man, and our friend Keir Doyle agrees with us because he says my biggest takeaway from the last two games is that Acheampong looked like a mile off of it in the preseason, and I wouldn't even squint if he started it right back on Sunday. What a player!
Mm,
That's kind of where we are, right? Like,
yeah,
you talk about growth, you want to talk about development, you want to talk about a guy who didn't play a whole lot of football over the last month because of the contract situation. This is a guy who is showing great promise, and it's especially important when Reece James is not in the team,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, yes, for sure that, but I think again, just with the style of play that we're adopting with under Maresca, he's the prototype. Like that's exactly what you wanted, that right-sided like right back position, because it's he's not necessarily playing right back. He's playing right center back in of a three when we're playing because we're attacking with 6, 7 players. So he can cover the wide areas. He has the pace to get up and down the pitch. And again, he has the mentality, the defensive mentality of a center back. Like, yeah, like I was just mostly impressed with, of course, his use of the ball. I remember I mentioned that earlier, like the touches. Like he had over 127 touches, composed on the ball. His techie, like I think he had two successful dribbles of the two that he tried. You don't do that at 18 as a center back unless you're really, really gifted in possession. You don't take those opportunities. More often
Yeah.
than not, you're just trying to like play hot potato. You don't want to be got caught out. And the fact that he has so much composure at this age and he's good on the ball and his awareness is there is just good signs going forward. Like this is what you can build on now as a young player. And I'm sure that Maresca took strong notice of what he saw in the last two games, and he will get more opportunities. Don't know
Yeah.
if it's going to come as soon as this weekend, and I don't know if we'll have to look for what opponent would be suitable for him in the Premier League, but his opportunity will come. There's no doubt about that.
So that's Josh, and I think just a huge congrats to him and Ty for officially being first team players. It's a massive deal, and it's a huge signal to anyone else who wants to come to the club as a youth player to be at the Cobham Academy to do this stuff. That there is a future for you if you work for it. It's
Hmm.
great. Just a huge shout out to Marc Guiu. I know that we didn't really touch on him too much. Got a hat trick in this game. Maresca said he's the same age as Josh and Ty. He knows with Nicholas and Christo there, it's not going to be easy for him, but he has scored 6 goals. CFC Central, of course, coming through with some absolute stats. Guy is now the 20th highest scorer in UECL history. That's just hilarious. Come on. It's amazing. He also said that he thinks Guiu became the youngest Chelsea men's player ever to score a hat trick in a senior game. We're checking on that, but if correct, Sam is a vision per usual. You want to talk about a kid who works hard? This kid,
Oh yeah.
goodness. I mean, look, the technical stuff, the striker stuff will come. He's
Hmm.
obviously a La Masia graduate. He's not gonna, he will get there, but boy, it's hard to see anyone outworking him up front. I mean, he made his own luck today, didn't he?
Yeah, and his anticipation is just like a next level. Like, it's one thing. Obviously, the first goal, I think Vega plays it into the box, and it's kind of like a 50-50. I think who won it? I'm not sure who won it. Was it Cucurella that won the ball in the air?
No, I think it
Oh
was.
no, it was their center back. It was their center
Yeah,
back, and he
yep.
tried to
It
head it back
deflected.
to the keeper.
Yep, yep.
But first of all, I don't think that Shamrock have seen the press that Chelsea have unleashed on them ever before. But I think it's his anticipation that gets him both of those goals. Like just not
Yep.
giving up on anything, and he's shown that throughout the entire year so far. Like he's always one that is pressing with a relentless pace, and like just he's like a dog on a bone, man. Like relentless, like a dog on a bone, man. That dude, man, just always chasing after like lost causes, and he was rewarded today for his relentlessness. And I don't know if he's going to get a lot of opportunities at current. Obviously, we have to
No.
find room for Nkunku, who's it's baffling me that, like, obviously Jackson is Jackson, but I'm still thinking that, like, how is Nkunku not in this side? It still surprises me, right? And so you have to find, again, opportunities for Guiu to continue to kick on and find his football. But let's not forget, he was at La Masia. He did play in the Champions League. He did score in the Champions League. He did score in La Liga as well. So he's no mug. His age is one thing, but you know there is a pedigree there for him to build on, and I expect to see more from him going forward. It's just opportunities he needs.
The finishes were all good though. I mean, yes, the first
Hmm.
one, all he has to do is knot it in, but he's going full speed and he obviously crashes into the post pretty
Oh
hard
yeah,
on that, right? Like, not an
rough.
easy thing. A lot of players would have made a business decision there. Let me just say that.
Hmm.
No problem for him. The second
Hmm.
one steals it, slots it home in a very difficult angle. Not an
True.
easy thing to do,
One
right?
two.
Third one, and this is becoming a theme that I'm personally loving. Noni Madueke with those wicked in swingers. Oh
Mm,
my God. Those
two
are
in
a
a row.
delight. What a treat. And
Hmm.
he puts a good header on it,
Hmm.
for number three. Like, it's not luck if you're working your ass off to
Hmm.
get it. And it's not as if the ball's hitting him in the face three times and it's going in the goal and he doesn't know anything about it. It's
Yeah.
so again, the competition will improve from here. He's going to have to improve with it, to
Hmm.
have any chance of playing. But I'm just happy for the kid. I really am. I liked what
Yeah,
he did in
man.
preseason, and I'm glad he's doing all right now.
He's come a long way from missing an open goal at the beginning of the UECO there. He's come a long way, man.
Yeah,
Let's just hope he can continue on this path here.
like
Hat
six
trick, man. Let's go.
six goals. Why not? All right. With some less fortunate news here to kind of close out the show, Dennis, we're talking about. We haven't had a chance yet because unfortunately our recordings with Matt Law were interrupted this week by some news from about Mikhailo Mudryk.
Mhm.
Tested positive in a doping test in October for a banned substance. Um, B sample is expected to be open the next few days to understand if this was a false positive or a real positive. He has hired the law firm that helped Paul Pogba, I should say, get his 4-year doping ban reduced to 18 months. He claims, in a very strong statement, that he has not knowingly done anything wrong. There are conspiracy theories abound out there about how the substance might have got into his system. It's the same substance that Maria Sharapova was found guilty of taking when she was making her comeback into the sport of tennis. What are your thoughts about this, man? I mean, it was really deflating. I'll be honest, it was really deflating. I'm not a Mudryk super fan like some are. I want the kid to be successful. He's coming. You know, it, his country is still under attack in a war against Russia. I want the best for him, and I just hope that this was not an intentional way of boosting his performance to get back into the team and play.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know a lot about the situation, and I don't want to
Yeah,
formulate an opinion one way or the other,
we
whether
know
positive.
nothing right now.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
kind of where I am right now. It's unfortunate. I think that the team's going to rally behind him, irrespective of the circumstance that he's in right now. And if I'm looking at it just objectively from the outside, this guy is a gym rat. Like, this guy works hard, right? So he works extremely hard. So the reason why, if I'm leaning one way or the other, I'm leaning on innocence. It's just because a guy that's in the gym like that all the time is very cognizant about what he's putting into his body. He's taking every precaution.
yeah,
Like, of course he's taking supplements and whatnot because he's in the gym all the time, but he's not taking a risk like that because he knows that he's susceptible to being tested because he's always in the gym and that sort of thing. So I'm going to err on the side of caution, just say, like, hopefully it was a mistake and he can come out of it, on the other side, looking like, the player that we all know and trust. But yeah, it's damning information, right? Like, it's not something that we want to hear. this stage in the season, right? Like he was really just starting to come back into his football. Like I felt like the last few appearances that he's made for the club were some of his best.
Yeah.
So it's happened at the wrong time, unfortunately. Thankfully, it did not happen while he was at Cobham because that would have opened up a whole other can of worms that we don't want to get into. So
Yeah.
there is that, but you know, you got to know what you're putting in your body, man. You got to be very, very careful, very, very careful. And unfortunately for him, he's given a sample that is proven positive, and hopefully the B sample comes back negative. That's all we can really
Yeah.
say at this point in time.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for him, the implications are potentially devastating, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
like you think about, he's what, 23 years old, 24 years old, something like that. So he should just be entering the prime of his career. There's been a lot talked about whether he's, going to be a Ballon d'Or winner one day or whatever. I don't think we're anywhere close to that. But Paul Pogba was given initially a 4-year ban for being found guilty of actually taking banned substances, and a 4-year ban at that age, I mean, is a potentially career ender. Like at 20, whatever. Like I really do hope that it's not that serious for him. I hope that there is a negative B sample and that we're out of here scot free. But I really do hope that this isn't one of those situations because doping in football happens all the time. It happens in every
Hmm.
sport. We all know how many players in American sports have been found guilty of doping throughout their careers. It's taken very seriously in world football, right? To get that much of a physical advantage over an opponent in a physical game already, to be able to run faster, run harder, run longer, jump higher is a significant advantage over your opponents, and it's just not something that is taken lightly. And so, again, knock on wood for him, and hopefully he gets the help that he needs, through this process. I can't imagine that would have been super easy for him.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I echo your sentiments. I'm just hoping that he gets the help he needs, the support that he needs from the club, and that I mean, I don't even want to say it, but if found guilty, like hopefully, you know, it's not a career ender for him because I do think he's a likable guy. He seems like um, a guy that has a personality that you think that he's trying to do the right things all the time. Maybe maybe not always, but trying to do the right things. And yeah, you just hope that for his sake that this test comes back negative and that he's able to
Yeah,
just kick on with his career. But like you said, like the implications right now, if it goes the other way, like it's going to be tough to see. I mean, Maresca said in the presser that he went short of say, like he didn't necessarily say that the career is over for him. I don't think that he would be in his right mind to say anything like that at this point in
no,
time. But it's hard to think that if this test comes back positive, that there's a way, like even if he gets 18 months, there's a lot that happens in 18 months. Like
a lot.
Chelsea's proven that they don't wait around for nobody. Like, you, you're out the door, next man's in. So it's going to be hard to see him carry on a Chelsea career if he tests positive.
A lot
You know,
happens in a week at Chelsea,
right?
so yeah, it's crazy. Last notes here, Dennis, to get us out. We are entering into another transfer window. It feels like it was just yesterday that the last transfer window was here. So I was enjoying time without the transfer window personally. It
Mhm.
was it was a nice little respite. But there's some news coming out of the end of the press conference after this one. Uh,
Rashford, Rashford.
no, I don't believe it's Rashford.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, Dennis. Um, Ben Jacobs asked Enzo Maresca if Kieran Dewsbury Hall could leave in January, something that we've been kind of joking about because his performances have been underwhelming. He said, surprisingly to me, unfortunately, I can't say he won't leave because anything can happen. I am not focused on January. We are very happy with the way he is working and his performance. We don't want one of our players to leave. With Kieran, it's a question for him. If a player says he is not happy and wants to play more, we are not going to say you have to stay. We are happy with Kieran, and then in January we will see.
Mm,
That is one of the most lengthy workaround answers that I have seen in some time. We're happy, but he might not be happy, And if he's not happy, then we're not happy. And
yeah.
I mean, look, flat out, he's not been good enough.
No.
I know that he was dealing with some injuries when he got to Chelsea, and that probably delayed his, really getting his foot in. He's not depth at six. He's not getting in at left wing. This system is not made for him
No.
in the way he's playing, and those are just the facts as they stand today.
I mean, the level at Leicester in the Championship to Chelsea in the Premier League, the players that we have on the side right now, like he's not at that level. You know what I mean? Like I would have easily seen those minutes go to Carney Chukwuemeka and felt very comfortable with him eating
Andre
those minutes.
Santos, yes,
I mean, Andre, I agree. He's obviously the next one, the heir apparent, but like he needed to get those minutes. Like he needs to go.
sure,
He didn't get
fair, yes.
a lot of football last year either, so I feel like he can get those minutes. But yeah, like Carney could have got those minutes. It just seemed like a meaningless signing to me. I kind of thought that maybe he might be the ambassador for Maresca's football and may have been requested by Maresca to come in and be that player that can be like his cheerleader and embrace
Advance the
what it is he's trying to
system,
do.
yeah.
But it's proven unnecessary in every way, shape, or form. As far as the transfer window goes, I don't know if we're going to see many incomings. I think that the work needs to be done right now is outgoings.
Correct.
We need to see just trim down the squad a little bit. So, what may be right now a dressing room that is seeing some harmony and whatnot can really start to like hone in on what the task is at hand going into the second half of the season. So, yeah, maybe a recall. I wouldn't mind seeing Leslie come back into the side. I mean, as much as we are solid in the middle, like I think that our midfield is the strength of this team right now. If anything happens to Casado, I don't know what we can do. Obviously,
Well,
I'm a big fan.
that would be a season ender right there. That would be
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do if you lose a Caicedo, irrespective. But,
no.
yeah, I think that just in terms of like having a safety valve, somebody who can just come in and eat some of those minutes. I think that Leslie can provide some of that. Uh, as much as like Casadei, he's been okay. I think that he's not. It's not really his position, right? Like he's more
No.
of an attacking eight rather than a sitting six. So might be good for him to go on loan as well and find some more football. So I'm looking more at outgoings than I am incomings to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at, you know, your I think there is a possibility if Dewsbury Hall goes, there could be a chance that Andre comes back from loan because I
You
think
think
there
so?
is. Yeah, because I think that's a gap then. Like you don't even have a conference league midfielder for the knockouts of that guy. Like you
Well, here's a question for you though. Like now that we're in the knockouts, do you readdress that lineup and maybe bring in a Cole Palmer? Maybe bring
you
in,
can. You can.
right?
The question is, should you? Right? Because if right
Mm,
now what's working with this team is we're not seeing as many injuries because we're not forcing players to go into the red zone, right?
hmm
So if we know that to be true, the question is, shouldn't we just keep that first team healthy
mm,
and clicking when they need to play the big games? And for these games, which we should easily win all of these UECL games, play players that should have the ability to win these games for you
hmm
who are not in the first team. And so like I would look at, if you're at a point where you're looking at, potentially someone like a Disasi who's rumored to be, on the way out in January leaving, or, Ben Chilwell potentially on his way out in January, or, you look at someone like Carnes almost certainly to leave, Kellyman, no
hmm
idea. Like you have a lot of guys in the squad who need minutes. I would have said even before today that we are at a point where, Guiu might have been one of those guys, but maybe he sticks around now. It's interesting.
Hmm.
because some of these guys are going to need to be around, right?
For
To
sure.
just take those minutes. Cassidy, maybe, who knows? But then, like, you have Leslie Ugochukwu, who's not playing at Southampton, a Southampton team that is as bad as any team I've seen
Tire
in
fire. It's a
quite
tire
some
fire.
time, right? So
Hmm.
I just I think the team's going to look different in January. I think you might see some light incomings, but maybe those are loans, and then you might see some outgoings in a serious way because Maresca then does the same treatment to Nkunku.
Mm.
Um, I don't think Nkunku is a striker. I said his best performance was in preseason. His best position is number 10. In January, we will decide. There are some players who may not be happy and may want to leave.
Yeah, there is that. And I mean, I don't want to go too far down the rumor mill, but I did hear something the other day about Chelsea inquiring about Benjamin Sesko now that they're out of the UEFA Champions League. So anyway, like, irrespective, I wanted to touch on the Andre Santos thing because there might be you got me thinking about it now, and
It's a good thought,
would
isn't it? Isn't it
it's
fun?
not it's not a bad thought at all. Being able to bring a guy back into the squad is like playing at a really really high level. Maybe recall him, and then loan Leslie to Strasbourg. Like
Mhm.
that's another possibility
There's
there, right?
plenty of opportunities, baby. Just
Yeah.
look, I think that like, and I've thought since the beginning of the season when I saw the midfield, the only player who can even come close to doing 70% of what Caicedo does in this team
Mm,
is Andre.
mm.
Passing, tackles, physicality, coverage. Lavia is not a great passer. Like, he's a short passer, right? Cover and he's
I
barely
think he's
healthy.
surprising.
He's
The
he's
help is
been
one thing.
good. He's been
Hmm.
good, but I wouldn't
Hmm.
say that like if you threw him in for Caicedo, if Caicedo was injured for a period, like you would feel great about that.
Yeah, and
Um,
the thing with Leslie for me, or sorry, with Lavia for me, is not so much about his ability. I think it's just because he hasn't played a lot of football.
mm,
Like he's just young in his football still,
yeah.
right? But I think he has all the quality, to be honest. Yeah,
The
he
best
just needs to
ability
play more.
is availability though, right? And you're in a stage where he's not been healthy this year.
Yeah,
Just hasn't been.
or the
Like, I
year
mean,
before, or the year before that.
so, I think you're looking at a very if one thing goes wrong in our midfield, the season could very well be over if you
Of
don't have
course.
adequate coverage. And so that's what I would be looking for in December. I know everyone's talking about center backs and blah 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 blah. We are one midfield injury away from this going up shit creek.
Hmm.
Bring Andre back, have coverage, feel secure. That is my pitch to Enzo Maresca, who obviously listens to this podcast and
Of course
is
he
a
does. Come
huge, I
on.
mean, he's a huge fan.
You
we,
know how many times? You know how many times I listen to like even like Sam do like a pre-match, and then I watch the game, and it's exactly what Sam called.
weird. Where did that come from,
Right?
Enzo? But look, that's the end of this one. Dennis, thank you for
Yeah.
joining and subbing in. Dan's having a Christmas day. He's seeing the Nutcracker. He's going to Christmas themed bars. Just had himself a day, so we got some coverage in for him, so he could have a good
Nice.
one. Thank you for rejoining us, man. We appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I love speaking to you guys about football. So anytime you need a little like emergency call up, a little sub in, a little Andre Santos in your life,
You're the Andre Santos. That's what I'm talking about.
recall me from loan. I'm ready to go, man. Trust me.
Well, look, Chelsea fans, hit us up on the trip. Everton on Sunday. There will be a preview for that. Lots going on with this team right now. But until next time, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.